Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, December 12th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be moving around and changing, and the candlestick you see will be changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. Stock number one here, AMAM. What a monster, and it remains a monster as I speak. And like I said, this is why I like to do the market or these when the market's open, because like I said, speaking right now, you can see that the price is doing battle with this former area of resistance right up there at $4. And let me just make sure I get that right. $4.42. So by the time you watch this, there's 11 minutes before the market closes. So if you're watching this and the price is up above 442, or maybe we're going to see it right before our eyes. There we go. It might have just got halted. I don't know. Maybe it just got, nope, no, it's still moving. Okay. Regardless, so it is very, very active right now as the breakout occurs. And that's the idea of a watch list, right? To find unique, to find interesting situations and not randomly rush out and buy anything, but to watch it. And here, like I said, there's no doubt about it. This is a very, very interesting, very unique, very volatile situation. And from a trading standpoint, that's what we want. So as far as, are there, any sort of, very, very clear levels right now? Maybe. If this thing ultimately does close down below this level, well, then headed into Monday, that would be the key breakout level. But if the price ultimately breaks up through there and you can see now it's starting to get rejected, then that could be a potential pullback point. But, at the core here, the underlying theme is that this is a very active, a very dynamic situation, and those are, the situations that we want as a trader. Now, from a pullback perspective, if there is any sort of pullback, interesting area down here right around the $3 mark. But yeah, all eyes going to be on this 442-ish area. Very, very powerful close to the day and to the week. So let's see if this carries over the weekend into Monday. Next, MOMO did this one on Thursday, and you can see today got the breakout of this former bear pennant pattern, slight gap up, and then just made a huge move. And in some ways, like a sense of deja vu, because maybe not the exact same pattern, but very, very close, is we have ourselves yet another pennant pattern. So we have our key level resistance now at $9.30. We have our area of support right here in this tight little range right here. Let me change that to green to represent more so the bullish area of the pattern. And like I said, not the exact same formation, but overall same pattern of being, again, resistance, support, big momentum move here. Let's put the hold on there for you golfers, make it a little bit more visual. We have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. And as you already saw once, when this thing breaks bull pennants, they can get moving and moving very quickly. So definitely keep an eye on this one. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people watching that $9.30 mark. But if you like to play bull pennant patterns and you missed the first one, here you go to potentially get an opportunity at a second. Next one, CLRO, and we have ourselves another pattern. And the main dynamic here is you got to think that a lot of people have drawn that trend line right there. So I'm not trying to press you, not trying to apply that some sort of special skill or great discovery. You got to think a lot of people drew that. And I make all those comments because when a lot of people are watching the same level and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can definitely produce some very dynamic movement. So while there are no guarantees, my point here is that is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price comes up to that area and gets a break up through there, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a valid outcome, that makes sense. Again, does not mean that it will happen, but by no means is that some sort of random potential possibility. If this thing does continue to pull back more, you have a very strong upsloping purple line there, which represents the 50-period moving average, currently valid at 98 cents. But let's just call it $1 because it will keep moving higher and higher. But like I said, in my mind, the most interesting dynamic and probably the dynamic that most people are going to be watching is that trend line. So let's see if the price can make another move up there and potentially get a break up through it. Next, AMC. And first update that needs to be done is that, and this is based on a foundation rule in charting, and this will mean a bit more to those that watched yesterday's video, but I talked about that being an area of support right there, and that value being right there at 598. And you can see the price drop down below there. It made another good fight in terms of holding that support, but ultimately could not hold up, and it failed, which brings about the update that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So let me change that to resistance. You can see it's actually played out perfectly here. There has been a bounce, but surprise, surprise, you can see that the bounce essentially rejected right at that level. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level as it served its purpose. So 598 will now be that newest near-term level of resistance. If the price does push up through there, then not too far off. So yeah, that'd be a step in the right direction, but I wouldn't get too excited because not that far away. You then have that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, currently valid at 630. 34. So those would be the main areas from a resistance standpoint. In terms of levels of support, got to zoom down here because as you're seeing, the price is starting to get closer and closer to going back to where it was. So I would say the next definitely must-hold level is at $5.60. And I say must-hold because if the price does not hold above there and drops down below it, at that point, the price is essentially right back to where it all began, and that's just not really a sign of any sort of genuine power. I'm not saying that will occur, but just explaining why the $5.60 mark in my mind is a must-hold level. Next one, COSM, and yeah, let me zoom in a little. We'll start off with the fact that in the very near term, yeah, there's some progress being made. There's no doubt about that. Hit a low right here, made a move up, came down, and this was the key part because after it started to come back down, you can see it did put in a higher base here. So it does suggest that, okay, maybe just maybe this thing is starting to get some momentum because if you envision each of those as stair steps, you do now have a couple of stair steps making some progress in the upwards direction. Of course, that doesn't guarantee anything, but it makes it like a little more rational to think that there could be some sort of turnaround here. But there's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done, so I shouldn't make that note. Is that from a support standpoint, definitely the level that you want to see hold now is going to be right up there at the 32-cent mark because like AMC, if the price would come down to 32 cents and then break down below it, now all of a sudden you have the price having gone right back to where it was. Not exactly the sign of a genuine bounce, but so far so good in that regard. If the price does continue on up, yeah, you have these moving averages here, but as I started off before zooming back in, you still do have that trend line up there, which I drew several days ago and still completely valid. Not necessarily relevant right now because it's still a ways away, but this one can move and move very quickly. So if there is some sort of bigger move, keep it on that overarching level right there. But yeah, overall, nice day today, put in a higher low. Let's see if this is a leading indicator for next week. Real quick, I want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering here in a couple of weeks. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to help build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free training. If you're watching it on YouTube, there's a link in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more, certainly get signed up for the free live training. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. A very nice move today. Started off by finally getting the break up through that trend line here, which had been a relatively big thorn in the side of the price, but I mapped this out in yesterday's video, and you can see, I mean, so to anybody that bought that trend line break, congratulations. You got a huge breakout to the upside, and now we have another nice pattern here that has formed, which I would say is a very well-defined pattern, and on Tesla, a very popular stock. Going back to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, you're going to have a lot of people watching these levels, so sure, that doesn't guarantee anything, but does it make it valid to think that if some of these levels are broken, it could create good, solid movement? Absolutely. So the first level that you got to think a lot of people are watching is that trend line right there at the top part of the pattern, bottom part of the pattern right down here at, let's see, what is that? The 178.50 mark. Again, let me change that to green. And I'm not going to spend too much time here because you've already heard me talk about this pattern, so there's not really anything else I can say, but I'll just get it drawn up in one color again. So resistance, support, nice move there. Put our hold down there for you golfers, make it more visual, and we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play Tesla, whether that's the stock or the options or whatever, and you like to play bull pennant patterns, here you go. Next one, NVDA, and overall, a little bit of a tricky chart to talk about because there's a lot of perspective that goes into it. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, you bought right there, maybe you bought right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks really, really bad. But, and I understand from those angles because yeah, there's no doubt about it, there has been a downwards channel that formed. However, for those people that care about a bigger picture, you have to factor in more context. What do I mean by that? Well, you have to ask yourself the question, well, what was going on before this downwards channel? Well, you had this big move up like this. And what I just did there was draw a bull flag pattern. So yes, I get it. In a very micro sense, it feels pretty rough. It looks pretty rough because there's no doubt about it. There is this downwards channel. But again, in the spirit of full context, what was going on before that pullback? What was going on before the downwards channel? You had the big surge up. So this is what would be known as a bull flag pattern. And just to continue to reiterate myself, just because something's bullish does not mean that for sure guaranteed the price is going to go upwards. But my point here is that, again, assuming that you're not a day trader that bought right there, that wanted to buy and sell within 7 minutes, assuming that's not you, then overall the trend is fine. The price is pulling back. It's created a bull flag pattern. So let's see if the price can turn itself around and then get a breakout up through that pattern sometime early next week. Next one, HTGM, and I'm going to go through this one very, very quickly because you've heard me say it. I'd say that I guess the biggest difference here is that this one's a penny stock. So if you like to play those penny stocks, here you go. But we have our resistance, we have our support down here at 49. Let me get that a little bit more even just for my, there we go. Change that to green. And then you know what I'm going to say next. Let's make it all the same color. So we have our resistance, our support, big move up, golf flow down here, have yourselves another bull pennant pattern. Like I said, the biggest difference is this is a penny stock. So if you do play like, or if you do like bull pennants, but you prefer them in the penny stock world, here you go. Next one, MMAT, an absolute beat down after what had been, doing very, very well, which creates the interesting situation. Stocks that had been doing well, then all of a sudden get beat down quite a bit, and then start to show some signs of maybe bottoming out. And the sign here is nothing fancy, just the fact that, okay, it started to go sideways finally here at $1.30. Now, I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price started to go sideways does not mean that for sure guaranteed this thing is going to turn itself around. My point here is at least it now becomes rational to think, to question, hey, maybe this is the bottom. Case in point, if the chart just still looked like this where it was going down, 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 and then I'm sitting here saying, hey, this could be the bottom, you'd be totally rational to say, what are you talking about, Clay? Based on what? The price is literally just dropping and dropping. But that's not what's happening, right? The price has at least started to go sideways. So a guaranteed bottom, of course, not a rational bottom to throw out there and question. Absolutely. So for all those reasons, $1.30 is going to be that key level of support, because if the price goes down there and breaks through there, well, then all of a sudden it's not really, going sideways anymore. It's starting to put in new lows. In terms of areas of resistance, if there is any sort of bounce, key level to watch, going to be right up here at the $1.63 mark. So keep an eye on $1.63. But yeah, overall, popular stock got beat down. Now maybe starting to bottom out. So let's see if this bounce can continue on Monday. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that follows the NASDAQ. So if you believe that the NASDAQ is going to rise, then you could buy this one. And this is just very popular because it allows you to get involved at a much cheaper price compared to trying to play the NASDAQ as a market. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because the big question here that is now going to be, I think, on a lot of people's minds, because it goes back to put that trend line into place, I think, a couple days ago. So a very simplistic trend line to draw, but look at it now. We have ourselves a very unique, a very interesting situation, right? We have a big question that now needs to be thrown out there. Is this the start of a much bigger breakdown, or does the price get some sort of bounce? I can see both sides. Right now, both sides are valid. If you're saying, yeah, I think this is a technical breakdown, I think it's headed down. I see where you're coming from. I could always be like, no, Clay, I think it's going to bounce back up there. I mean, it's bounced off there several times before. I see where you're coming from. But that's why risk management matters, because somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong, and you just but both parties are being rational. Both people, both parties, you could not accuse either side of being, what are you talking about? That's completely random. No, there is a well-defined trend line. The price happened to close last 30 minutes, very, very rough for the NASDAQ, as you can see here, as it came all the way down here, but it's now sitting at a very, very critical level here, and one where in and of itself, when you can ask those big questions, is okay, is it going to bounce? Is it going to go down? You can start to get more and more of those self-fulfilling prophecies and build trade plans around them. So yeah, a very straightforward, but a very, very powerful and very, very big question here headed into Monday. What is this going to do with the trend line? So we'll see what Monday morning has to offer. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live training. A couple weeks, Thursday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I hope to see you there. As far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, if you would like for me to continue to make them, do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment below. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and get signed up for that class.